Yeah, feeling the vibe right here.
Welcome back to the Beat the Best podcast. It's your boy, your favorite person you don't know personally, Betamax84, here with Juan and Sean. It has been a weekend for the ages. We have the NBA Finals, we have the World Cup, we have women's basketball. It is absolutely crazy, Juan. Tell me from the jump, what has been going on this weekend?
I've been very busy just making a lot of World Cup commentary as well as like this NBA Finals commentary and reaction just to it all. But yesterday was just a full-fledged, buffet of just sports. You had 4 World Cup games, you had the NBA Finals, and then you have women's basketball. There's just so much to go around. And it was great. You could stay home literally all day and just see it all in one day.
You could. Yesterday was a day for the sports fan. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about the New York Knicks and the generational win that they've got. We'll save the World Cup for next week. But just as a sports fan, you absolutely cannot be more overjoyed with the buffet of what you had to watch, Sean, of games or whatever else was going on.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm watching the finals game 5. And during commercial break, I'm going to my ESPN app and checking I'm a big Aces fan, so I'm checking the Aces score. They're playing Minnesota, best team in the WNBA, and with their phenom point guard, Olivia Miles. And
Olivia Miles
I'm going nuts.
Is a whole problem.
MVP discussion.
A whole problem.
We'll have to talk about that this summer. She's problematic. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, she is. Aces had control of the game. Asia Wilson, reigning MVP, doing what she does. But the game turned, and as I'm looking at the score, and then I'm looking at Olivia Miles, she starts cooking, and I'm like, oh God! So I'm trying to flip back and forth, and I'm losing my mind because the action in the game, the finals game, was sick. And so as soon as the commercial break, I'm like, oh damn, we're only up 2. Oh God, they're up. The last few minutes of the game were psycho. So to your point, yesterday was an incredible sports day. So
it was a great
I can't
sports
wait to
day.
get into it.
Let me tell you what happened to me yesterday. So Carrie and Mia were here, my oldest daughter and her mom. And so we moved Mia out of U of O. So they're like, oh, we want to go to Cannon Beach. I'm like, the game's today. But I'm sure they'll have a bar in Cannon Beach. So we go to Cannon Beach in Oregon. It's like going to Santa Monica Pier on a Saturday, but worse because there's less parking. Okay, so we're at Cannon Beach. You already know what that means, right? So we go to Cannon Beach, and there's no parking. Okay, when I say no parking, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm saying there's no parking. So these 2 Asian gentlemen are walking away from the beach, and I go, yo, are you guys going to your car? He's like, yeah. He's like, just follow me. I said, no. I'll give you a ride to your car. Right? He's like, no, you don't have to do that. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what kind of car you're driving. Okay. So he's like, it's a Nissan Sentra. You know what I mean? I said, what color is it? He's like, it's gray. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I'm parked by City Hall. So I drive back to City Hall, and I'm waiting for him to arrive, right? So finally get parking. We dabble and play all day by the beach. And so finally it's almost game time. I'm checking updates on the World Cup. I'm checking, Olivia Miles is cooking chicks. And I'm like, I go into the bar, and I see this huge TV, and I says, you guys are going to show the game, right? The finals game? The manager looks me dead in the eyes and says, oh, no, we only use that for trivia.
What? Are you sure you're in Portland, Oregon?
Where are you? You playing Sports Jeopardy or something?
Right. Where are you?
I said, okay. So I'm on Google. I'm looking, and, I have bad reception. I'm looking, and I finally found a bar. They have, 16-inch TVs. I don't care. But at least they have TVs. So that's where we watched the game. Stayed there for 2 hours, had some beers or whatever. But it was fantastic. So, guys, let's jump into it because we have so much to talk about. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
For
sure.
The New York Knicks have won one of the first championships in half a century. And I want to say that because it's really important to understand for the average fan that New York has been starving for a championship since Willis Reed and Walt Clyde Frazier were killing it in New York City. Okay? They won a championship when there was no internet. They won a championship when I don't know. I think Eisenhower was president. I don't remember who was president then, but it's been a long ducking time. And so it hit me personally to see that even though I'm a Warriors fan, I was born in New York City. To see the city get a chip meant a lot for me. So we'll start off with you, Sean. What was your first, before we get into the games and specifics, what was your initial reaction when you saw them get a chip?
Man, it's amazing. Honestly, I'm no Knicks fan. Everybody knows I'm a big time Lakers fan. And for me, it was just to see the city. Like we talked about this on our previous episode, the crime rate was down. All the togetherness, the joy in these people's, heart and faces for them to, because they wanted this so bad. And I wanted it for them, like I said, it's just, but when that final clock, when it hit zero, I was like many other people. I was just in disbelief. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
believe that they actually did it. And I was so impressed, man. I'm so happy for them. And like I said, I'm never gonna be mistaken for a New Yorker. I'm a California kid, born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm a West Coast guy, but man, I understand what they were going through for years. Like I love that Spike Lee and Fat Joe
And Stiller.
and Tracy Morgan and Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
I love that they're so happy because they've been starving. Jon Stewart, they've been starving
Stewart.
for a championship for years. So I love it, man. It was just joy for me. So
Juan, what was your initial reaction?
Well, first of all, if you're a New York fan, shout out to you. I'm happy for you. You guys were definitely starving for one, and you got one just in the nick of time, no pun intended, simply because of what's going to come in the future. But what the Knicks did was so rewarding for the style of play that they did. They didn't chuck up a bunch of threes. They had a lot of grit. They defended. They played old school New York style ball. And they beat a team that, in my opinion, was more talented than them. They were younger and more talented. But it's a lesson to be learned that if you do the little things, you play the full 48 minutes, and you think about only the next play, you'll end up getting the results that you want. The Spurs didn't learn that in this finals, and they're going to have to learn the hard way. I believe the Spurs will learn this, and the future will be very bright for the Spurs. But in talking about the Knicks, I like the fact that everything that they did to build this team, to even switching the coach after last year, you inserted Mike Brown after you got rid of Tom Thibodeau, and would that pay off though? And I'll tell you what though, what nobody is talking about, everybody's talking about Jalen Brunson, everybody's talking about Josh Hart and the other players. No one is talking about the job that Mike Brown did in this final, that he outcoached the young coach on the other side.
Let me jump in here, Juan. Let me jump in here because you're killing it. Before we jump into the future, let's talk about the present. Okay, this was a series that none of us thought the Knicks could win in a championship. Let's keep it a bean. We all thought that the Knicks would be competitive and that San Antonio was not going to sweep the Knicks. None of us said there's not going to be a sweep. This is ridiculous. Okay, because the Knicks were a competitive team. There were others at the beginning of the season who thought the Knicks could not win. Everyone and their mama penciled in the Celtics and Oklahoma City at the end of the season for the beginning of the season. I can't stand the way the Celtics play, so of course I didn't pick them. I think they're trash. I think they front run the way they play, and they shoot a lot of threes, and you can't win a lot of championships that way. And Oklahoma City flops around like old fish on a boat, okay? The Knicks, to Juan's point, absolutely outwork, outlast, out-hustle, and grind you down to a nub like a Terminator. They will not stop until you're dead. And there's a part of me that's a ball player that loves that style of basketball, Sean.
absolutely. And it just really, the Knicks really showed me that no lead is too big. And with Jalen Brunson, there's no such thing as being too small.
And not when you believe.
You
believe.
Not when you believe. And if you just, and you said it so perfectly, like they just don't quit, like the Terminator. They just kept going, kept lead is 15. So what? we're just going to keep playing because there's still time on the clock. There's still time to make a run, to make an effort, and it's just and the Spurs didn't realize that. They were almost like front runners. They get the big lead and they're clapping and yeah, and they knew. I really and I still think they believe that they are the better team, but they just didn't have that fight. Like you've got to kill them. Like you got to make sure they're not breathing everything. And, because if you don't, if there's still a heartbeat, if there's still a pulse, they showed you there's still a pulse. We got time. Guess what? 8-0 run back in the game. So that's what the Spurs are going to learn this summer is when the clock strikes 0, we got to make sure we play until that end. And if they would have done that, they would have won this series pretty easily, in my opinion. But they didn't, because they led like 70 or 80% of the games.
Sean, that's irrelevant. My brother in Christ, and I know you know this. It's irrelevant because it's a 48-minute game.
I know.
Yeah,
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. They didn't know that. They were thinking, oh, we're kicking their ass every bit. But until that clock strikes 0. You can't stop playing. You can't stop executing. You gotta keep going like it's 0-0. Like you know what I'm saying? It's tied, even though you're up 20. So
Juan,
and they didn't do that.
They did not do that. Juan, everything Sean is saying is correct. There is a narrative out there that's saying, Coach Johnson should be replaced. That De'Aaron Fox, who looked crazy out there. He looked crazy out there. Yep. That De'Aaron Fox should be traded and Dylan Harper should be given the keys. I understand these are all Monday morning quarterback opinions. Juan, at the end of the day, once we slept on it a night, the reality is the Spurs have arrived ahead of schedule. No one penciled them into the NBA Finals this year. Nobody. Okay? They're ahead of schedule. These are real growing pains that the Spurs were experiencing in real time of understanding how to collect a lead, when to run the ball out, when to run the timeout, when to get 2 feet in the paint and get twos instead of chucking up threes. Is the overreaction a bit heightened for the Spurs right now on what they've done wrong?
It is, and I'm going to tell you why. They are the young horse that's got all this potential. They get off to a strong start, but this young horse is young and naive and doesn't know how to finish strong. And you need the right trainer to get you there. Now, Coach Johnson, in my opinion, his job is not in jeopardy because the Spurs didn't have the expectations of championship or bust. What they have is they're ahead of schedule. But I'll tell you what, though, there needs to be some adjustment. Obviously, Greg Popovich is going to have to teach this young coach certain things and make some adjustments in their style of play. Because I'll tell you what, though, Coach Johnson could end up like a young Stan Van Gundy that couldn't win the title with the Miami Heat until Pat Riley decided to take over. He went down from the president's chair to the coach's chair and got him the title because they were expected to win the title. So it's very important that Coach Johnson has to mature from this and has to make the right adjustments. The little things that the Spurs did or didn't do, actually, what cost them the NBA Finals. It almost seems like the Game 7 against OKC was an anomaly because they just played great. Everything was going great. But when it came push to shove, where you had to play a team that was far more competitive, that could push you physically, that will not go away, they didn't pass that test. And they're going to have to work on that. There's going to be a lot of work between Wembanyama working on his game. Especially, he's got to work on his game. There was a great thing that Gilbert Arenas said the other day that I thought made a great point, and he should seek the advice of Dirk Nowitzki and learn to play in his style where he had the ball more over his head and shot over the top and keep the ball from going below his waist. Because Victor Wembanyama at 7'4", if you keep the ball over your head, they can't block your shot. He's got to change his style and improve his game. I got to see an extra level from him.
Juan, I'm with you, and I get it. If anyone gets it, it's me, right? Looking at what they were able to accomplish this season, they had the second best record in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old. They have a bevy of young guards The future is very bright for them. All I'm saying is that it's very easy to overreact in a situation where all the lights are on you. I think they were even tearing Wemby apart, Sean, about his post game. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, he's 22 years old and he just lost the NBA Finals. The brother said something so brilliant. He goes, I'm just tripped out because it's going to take me another 100 games to get here. And I'm like, yo,
Hey,
how real is that? I was on the phone with my guy, with Steph. I said, yo, 100 games is 3 games, about 3 games one game every 3 days. Like, but in 9 months, that's like 1 game every other day. Like, 100 games is crazy. And so you got to give some grace to Victor and still give the Knicks their flowers. Because to Juan's point and your point, Sean, I haven't seen a team that has just been this, what's the word, bloodthirsty for winning as the Knicks have been, Sean. They just want to drown you. They come back. Oh, you were down. We're up 29. No, you're not. We're up 15. Who cares? They just keep coming at wave after wave from the first to the 8th man off the bench. Bro, what did you text me the other day? You said, Alvarado has a championship.
yes.
Sean, go ahead, bro.
Yes, yes. It's the desperation. It's like I said earlier. The Knicks have a small window to win a championship. Now that they've won one, because every year there's expectations, and teams get better. The Celtics will be better. You know what I'm saying?
I don't agree with you, but okay.
Philly. I think the Celtics will be better. They'll be better because you'll have a healthy Jason
I don't think the
Tatum. You'll
Celtics
have-
will ever see another NBA championship with that team.
Well, I mean,
I
hey,
hope
that's
so.
that's subjective, but and I agree. I hope they don't, but they will be better. The Pacers will be better.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
the Sixers will probably be better. You know what I'm saying? On both sides of the ball, teams are going to be better. They're going to understand how to play. The players and get the right players involved. So the Knicks played with that desperation that they needed, and it's amazing to see. But I'm going to go. I'm going to give a little grace to De'Aaron Fox. He's getting killed. I don't think you need. He looked crazy, as you
He
said.
looked like a point
He's
shaver
getting
out there.
killed, and listen, deservedly so. But listen, I
Hold on,
go
hold
back
on, hold on,
to
Sean.
I'm a big time.
He looked like
go.
he looked like he was on Polymarket out there. Like,
I'm saying, but see, listen, for those of you who don't know, I'm a little older. I watched Magic Johnson in the finals against the Celtics, blunder after blunder, and literally they lost that championship.
Killed
And he
Magic for
cried
that.
all summer. They killed him. If
Magic
in the
for that.
day of social media, if social media was around back then, they would have killed Magic so bad. They killed him enough in the paper. So, but Magic,
TV.
he cried. Listen, he cried in the summer, but he went to work. There's stories of that summer how he learned how to win. He killed everybody and pick up. Isaiah Thomas even mentioned it, and he came back with a vengeance and was killing everybody. So for me, before I jump to the conclusion and say, hey, De'Aaron Fox needs to be traded, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to give him the summer, and here's why too. Even though he's 28, or I think he's 28 years old, and even though he's played in playoff basketball, he's never been in the finals, right? So there's a different level. From first round to finals, there's a different level of different energy. He just wasn't up for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't up for it. So let's give him an opportunity to see if he can get back to that. Now, I think Coach Johnson, like Juan said, he was out coached. I think he needs to make adjustments. If De'Aaron Fox is not giving you what you need, Dylan Harper needs to be on the floor a lot more. And I think a few games, if they do that, we're talking about a different series. So, but I'm going to give him grace because, like I said, in the summer, these are where you make the adjustments. Everybody's had their growing pains. Michael Jordan didn't win for 7 years. He had growing pains, then he won. Yeah. LeBron, 9 years.
Isaiah Thomas.
I think Kobe, it took 4 or 5 years. Isaiah Thomas, forever. He couldn't get past the Celtics. When he finally does, he loses to the Lakers in 7. Then he finally gets over the hump. So these are the things that it's the natural maturation of things. These players have to go through it. There's no shortcutting it. And we thought, because the Spurs are such a talented team, they were going to be able to shortcut that because they're so talented. But that talent couldn't overcome that experience that they needed and how to finish those games. So, and the Knicks had that experience. So
That's a great point, Sean, which is going to lead us to our next topic.
sure.
God, that's so well said. Guys, talk about paying your dues. Okay. Jalen Brunson has paid his dues. Jalen Brunson has been in New York, taking heat from the media last year, the previous year, under Tom Thibodeau. Stephen A. Smith called him undersized. The wake-up shows saying he could never carry a team's offense, saying he holds the ball too long. All for it to come together yesterday, or game 5 for those watching later, and for him to win a chip. Juan, in my eyes, Jalen Brunson is closer to Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan than any guard I've ever seen outside of Steph Curry. He's an absolute killer. I'm talking about killer instinct, not play style. He's an absolute killer. He has a killer instinct. His focus is there. He plays no games, and he won a chip. Who knows if he'll get another one, but he's got one. Juan, tell me what you think about the maturation and the entire growing up of Jalen Brunson.
Adopting the mentality of Kobe Bryant is the first thing that I've noticed from Jalen Brunson. And I got to tell you, for everybody that criticized Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson needs to be collecting from every single one of those critics with interest. I'll tell you what, though. Jalen Brunson can walk into Carbone. I might have a table that I reserved 3 months ago. If he walks in, he gets that table in front of me. I'm telling you that right now, and anywhere in New York.
Right.
But as far as the attitude, the killer instinct, what he did in this playoff, and by the way, he scored 45 points, which tied Michael Jordan for most playoff points in a closeout victory. The way he closed out, in my opinion, is of the level of Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
You take the last 3 minutes, you put the ball in his hands, and he's clutch. He is at that level. When you want him to close the door, that's the dude that takes you home. I think Jalen Brunson is clearly at that level. There's no doubt about it. So what the Knicks did to see something in this kid, bring him over, give him the keys to the city, and he took you home and he got you a championship. I know there was so many critics. You just didn't see superstar. You didn't see anything. But you see grind and grit similar to Isaiah Thomas. I agree with you there. The clutch gene is there. He may not be some superstar or whatever, but for New York, he's perfect for them. And Jalen Brunson's going to go down.
Not a superstar. I think he is a superstar.
Yeah, I probably would agree with you also. But I'm saying initially, I mean, this guy was backing up Luka Doncic in Dallas. Wild. Yeah, imagine what Dallas would have had. So, but Jalen Brunson, he is of that level. He is of Isaiah Thomas, and this one, he may just get this one chip, and it weighs so heavily, maybe in comparison to somebody else that might be better than him career-wise down the line that might have got 2 chips. So that's how much impact he had just winning this one championship.
John, Jalen Brunson gave you a 45 piece on the way out. Okay. He has the killer instinct. He's only 6'2". Castle, who I absolutely love, is one of the better guard defenders in the league. So is Vassell. So is Harper. None of them could guard him, and they shut down the MVP. We could talk a whole nother hour about SGA's MVP. Ugh. My point is, Jalen Brunson was that dude. I don't know how many guys they switched up on. They were double teaming him at half court. It was irrelevant. Sean, I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Unbelievable to watch, and really what did it for me is I saw him. Even though he's small in stature, he is a giant amongst men, and he was just, his heart and his determination was incredible. And for all the youngsters out there, man, when you have total belief in yourself, where it seems delusional to everyone else. We always talk about delusional confidence. He absolutely has it, because no one at 6'2" is supposed to do what he does. But he truly believes, and that comes from the work that he did. we've seen the videos of him and his father, and they're on the playground, and they're not in some air conditioned gym. They're outside on the blacktop, and he's doing the same move 30 times in the sun, and you got to do it right, and it's boring, and it sucks, and your body hurts. But we saw him do it in a game 5 closeout, the same type of moves, the same stuff that he was doing on the blacktop, and that's where it pays off. When you do it and you really work at it, that's where the belief comes in. But nobody else believes it because they didn't see that work. You only got a glimpse. And so for me to see it, it's inspiring, man. It was very inspiring. This dude he is a giant, and he is a god in New York. In New York City, you could do whatever he wants.
He's the king of New York.
Oh man, it'll be like coming to America. Rose petals as he's walking, in Times Square. Rose petals are. Oh, Jalen Brunson's coming. Let's get the rose petals. And so he can walk. He is a king. He is a god amongst all the men there, and he can do whatever he wants in New York for the rest of his life. It's
what
forever.
You said about Brunson. The one chip in New York City is equal to 2 or even 3 somewhere else. Okay. No one, Sean, I know you love LA. I lived in LA. LA, the entire of LA County's not getting out on the street top singing "I love LA." If the Clippers win a championship, okay, it's not going to happen.
No.
All right. No one in Dallas is going to be out in the street top till 8 a.m. It's not. It's different. And I did an earlier live. New York is the mecca of basketball. Okay. There's a reason why it means so much to the city. These people, these Knicks fans have been invested for decades. Decades. They survived the Isaiah Thomas years of GM. Do you remember that one when Isaiah Thomas tried to run the Knicks into the ground? Do you remember? They had to survive the Jordan years where no one could beat Mike, and they had Pat Ewing and John Starks and Oakley. They couldn't do it, and here they are. They finally do it, Juan, with Brunson, who I think now is the greatest Knick of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he got him the chip. I mean, yeah, he's arguably could be the greatest Knick of all time. It's just incredible. All the suffering these guys had went through this franchise, Michael Jordan, and then when Michael Jordan, they couldn't even beat the Pacers. Remember, the Pacers made that final, although they did
right.
They did make the finals in '99 when they played the Spurs as an 8 seed, and they thought maybe with that Larry Johnson, Latrell Sprewell, and Marcus Camby team, they were going to pull that off. But I guarantee you, if that team had Jalen Brunson, they probably would have won that, right? Who knows? But right now it's just everybody's just. I know it's a prisoner of the moment, but the Knicks deserve all their flowers, and for Jalen Brunson to pull this off is amazing.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in there. I'm very keen on being aware of understanding the hyperbolic nature of being a prisoner of the moment, because we do it all the time, especially in media. And now that we're here, we're part of sports media. Okay. The bottom line is this: show me someone else that won them a chip. So now, automatically, you're putting him in the shoes of Walt Frazier and Willis Reed, my guy.
No,
two Hall of Famers.
Of course. I mean, we're talking about a historic franchise. Yeah, you're right. You're right. This isn't like when Kawhi Leonard was traded to Toronto and they probably given them the only championship and they're gonna build him a statue. That ain't that.
Right.
That's not. You're talking about New York. Jalen Brunson could get a statue by the time his career is over, despite all the Knicks that went through, all the players that went through that Knicks franchise. Facts. He might get the first.
Facts.
Are you kidding me? And then OG Anunoby is going to be compared to Robert Horry because of the game-winning tip. I mean, that's what we're going to see for the rest of our lives. People are going to remember where were you when OG Anunoby made that tip in to cap off a 29-point deficit for that win. That's what people are going to say.
Is he lying?
Absolutely.
I have chills right now.
Not at all. Not at all. He is stating absolute facts. It's just when OG made that tip, he may not ever do anything in a Knick uniform again, but he may even get a statue because of that. Because of that tip, they may put a statue in front of Madison Square Garden because of that tip right there. literally, and they're up 2-1 in that, but it literally saved their season, if you will, because
Would have been
it
2-2.
was just it was incredible. Yeah, it would have been 2-2, and now it's a different energy. So we talk, you and I, say if we talk about that energy is in. It's amazing, and when you have that energy and that motion going, it's hard to stop, and that's what happened with the Knicks, man. It was incredible, incredible.
Yeah. You know who else is a championship? Is Cat.
Yeah.
For anyone out there that's lost family members, I lost my mom a few years back, so I know he must just be absolutely overjoyed to know that his mom was looking down for him to get that chip. And then when I saw him and Ewing hug, man, that did something for me, man. Because Ewing was, let's be honest, was the greatest Knick, everything that happened in New York since Willis Reed, right? Because, he was that dude.
Absolutely.
It was the Patrick Ewing show for years. He got him to, I don't know how many conference finals he got him to, and they could never get over the hump. And so for him to finally see the Knicks get a chip and everyone else so excited, even John Starks was over there. Like, everybody was just so happy because he did it for everybody, man. All the Villanova kids now have championships won.
Yeah,
the trio.
Not all of them, but yeah.
not all of
the
them.
trio that's there.
DiVincenzo, I mean, unfortunately.
DiVincenzo, I'm sick.
That's the only guy I really feel bad for.
I'm so
because
sick
he
for him.
he plays great, man. He plays hard, man.
And he was a Knick.
Yeah, and he was a Knick
before they got Cat.
Yeah,
he was a Knick
yeah,
before
he was
they
a
got
Knick
Cat.
before they got Cat.
So I
hurts
hurt
so
for him,
bad.
man, but yeah.
But he represents Dominican Republic well. Everybody knows his story, but I mean,
DR.
yeah, dude, he represents him well, and you got to understand the demographics that the players that are on the Knicks. Him from Dominican Republic and Alvarado from Puerto Rico. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just it shows how New York really is.
That's New York, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's New York.
Yeah, I mean, like the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Haitians, the Jamaicans, bro. That's New York City.
Yeah, that's New York. That's New York City. That's you. That's exactly.
Guyanese, Spanish. Certainly. Go ahead.
And I love that they showed, like, at the end, if you watched it, like, you showed all the boroughs. So you got Astoria, Queens, you got Manhattan, you got Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got all of these boroughs, and just like you said earlier, man. And you're not going to see that in LA. If the Lakers or the Clippers win a championship, you're getting downtown LA, but you're not going to go. You're not going to see a parade in Compton.
And not Beverly Hills.
In Gardena, not Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
You're not going to see. Look, you're not going to see it in Anaheim. You're not going to see these different neighborhoods. You're not going to see that type of love. So that's why I wanted it for New York, because even though there's all these different boroughs and they're separated, they are one when it comes to their sports teams. So it's amazing, man. Shout out to the New York fan base, New York Knicks fan base, man. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't support beating up kids wearing Spurs jerseys, but those are thugs anyway.
Maybe not
those
that mob mentality,
man. Yeah, I mean, well, and thugs are gonna do thug shit anyway, so that's nothing new. Yeah. But for the rest of the 99% who are just out there to see the Knicks win, you absolutely have to support that. I also want to say, man, I can't reiterate this enough. As soon as the game was over, as a Warrior, and looking, and I was like, damn, to have the championship back in New York City is like the king has returned. Like, the ball is back. Like, I don't know if you noticed my one. I've lived in a lot of different states, and I've lived in other countries. Mm-hmm. I've never lived in a place that loved basketball more than New York.
True.
Maybe there's some pockets in French Lick, Indiana. You know what I mean? Because Indiana is a basketball state. But as far as the amount of people that love basketball, bro, nobody loves basketball like New York. So to have the chip back there means so much, Juan.
Oh, absolutely. Kenny Smith was reiterating on Inside the NBA that, the city of New York doesn't allow you for a kid to be playing other sports because it's so condensed. Like, all you had was concrete, and they had a bunch of basketball courts, and that's all you really had, And then obviously the legend of Rucker Park, like stuff like that, all those things is what makes that city a basketball town. So that's why it hits them deeper when they're successful, especially when they won this championship. So I'm telling you, it's going to be so joyful in the next couple of days. Imagine the parade. I can't wait to see the images from the parade. Everybody, honestly, the mayor should just call like a holiday that nobody works and just everybody can just go attend this thing because people are going to miss work for this thing. It's unbelievable.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for most people. Guys, before we bounce out of here, we are forward looking because that's what sports is. Sean, will the Knicks be able to keep the same juice and do it again next season? Give me a condensed answer. I'm not putting you on the spot or anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Short answer is I don't think so. It's going to be tough because, like I alluded to earlier, teams are going to be better. There's so many factors in the 82-game season: injuries, health, and other teams getting better. Those three factors right there really just makes it difficult to repeat. And we haven't had a repeat champion in 8 years.
Juan?
So I would say no.
Yeah, hard answer, no, only because it's contingent on a lot of things. What's going to happen in the NBA offseason, what's going to happen to Giannis, what's going to happen to LeBron. The Spurs are going to get better. OKC is probably going to retool. So that's why I think it's opportunistic that the Knicks won the title, because I don't think they're going to get cracks at this as much as they had it this time right here. So I can see them going deep in the playoffs next year, competing for a title. But if, like, for example, wherever Giannis goes and he stays in the Eastern Conference, that's going to be an obstacle that you're may not be able to avoid. So it depends. So I'm going to say no at the moment.
Let me give you my answer, gentlemen. Before you guys started speaking, I was going to say no. I don't think they're going to repeat. But now that I'm thinking about it after listening to you,
of course,
I think they can do it again.
Go the other way. Of course, you can go the other way.
Oh, are they going to run it back? Same players, same everything.
I think, and I'm going to tell you why. I think once you sip the juice of a chip and you know how good it tastes and you know how much it takes to get back there again, I think a guy like Brunson, he's got that Mike in him. He's got that Detroit in him, that Isaiah Thomas in him. I think he's like, yo, let's go do it again. I don't give a duck who's out here. I don't care who's here. I don't care. Giannis, I don't care who's here. I just think he's going to be even worse next year.
It's tough to bet
worse
against.
Meaning better. I think it's, you know what I mean? So that's what I think. Guys, it's the Beat the Best podcast with your favorite people here. We almost have 100 followers on YouTube now. I know that's not a lot for everybody. Everyone's millions of followers. I'm not a 6-foot blonde with double D's. All right, we're just talking sports here. I don't have 1 million followers hanging out of my pocket.
We'll get there. We just got to get people to jump on, man.
Get people to jump on because our takes. Have you noticed, Juan and Sean? Have you noticed that our takes are starting to get not that they're taking them from us, but our takes are like dead on the things they say on like ESPN and like Mad Dog Radio. I'm like, we said
exactly,
that.
And we're not like anybody famous or anything. We're just saying exactly what they're saying, and yet they're looking at them and not looking at us. So.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, guys, tap in, follow, like, subscribe, send it to your friends. As I always say, send it to your enemies because our enemies are actually the ones who post the most. Friends, thank you. We are going to come back next week. We have so much sports. It's going to be a great summer. For Sean and Juan, this is Betamax 84, and we will see you on the flip side.